Welcome to partialarc.com. Don't do that.
In the grim darkness of the far future, there is only war. And a lot of weird shit. Roll to seize!
Welcome to Roll to Seize. This is episode 32. I'm your host, Jay Jones, and I'm joined by my co-host and Warhammer enthusiast, Andrew Dickinger.
Hello.
Andrew, we are back from LVO.
We are, and
We conquered.
we
won some games.
Well, we both, I think, went 3-3.
We went 3-3, guys, at LVO, which
Dead
means we had
even.
3 really good games, and we had 3 games that we'll never talk about ever again.
Mine went almost exactly opposite. I had 3 people that I tabled, and I got tabled 3 times.
Wow. I mean, that feels good, right? Like, no in-between?
It was like
almost victories?
I ended, and I was basically just like, I don't know what to make of that.
I don't know how I feel about this.
It went really well and really awful.
Oh my gosh.
But there was one army, though, that basically, like, something's got to change, folks.
Oh boy. All right. Hold on. Before we dig into that
Let's talk about some new stuff.
The Ynnari are here.
Yeah, they're doing the Grand Alliance stuff, continuing their triumvirate stuff.
Yeah, the triumvirates, I think there's kind of a unanimous thing that each book will release kind of its own triumvirate. If you guys don't know anything about the Ynnari, they are like the new Eldar.
Everything Eldar.
Eldari, as they are also called.
I refuse.
They qualified in the book, because I have the new Fracture of Bealtan, Gathering in the Storm book 2, and in it they qualified as the Eldari, is like the ancient term of the Eldar, like what they all were called before they fractured.
Like by the old ones or something?
I guess.
Whatever.
The old ones are really big on copyright, so they were like, we gotta make sure this is Eldari instead of Eldar. I've gone through the Gathering of the Storm 2, Fracture of Bealtan kind of big Grand Alliance formation, which is called the Reborn Warhost, and in my opinion, there really isn't any kind of like super combo Codiez, everybody has OBSEC kind of deal going on there. Now, to be fair, in this new Reborn Warhost, people can take extra actions in the middle of turns and jump around, which is pretty neat.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Jay, like you lose units, and then you get to
keep shooting,
steal their power.
Yeah, it's a Highlander army. It's really what it is. When I read it, I was like, there can be only one. They're just like killing dudes and like lightning filling them.
I've had discussions with some people, and people are like, yeah, but it kind of sucks that your stuff has to die. I was like, you're playing a war game. Shit's gonna be dying like left and right.
And I feel like with 8th edition, things are gonna be able to die a lot easier, hopefully.
I'm hoping they go more to the lethality level and then the unkillable level, like 40k is right now.
There's a lot of things in 40k right now, which are just very, very unkillable.
And we'll get to that in a second.
We'll get to that in a little bit with our seasons. But yeah, I would say the thing that I am pretty excited about with this new book that came out is my boy, Eldrad Othran. The Oathway finally got like a nice high five. Like Black Guardians are back.
Oh my god, that formation is so good.
It's so good. If you don't know anything about the Oathway Black Guardian formation, it's like, I believe the Oathway Strike Force. Yeah. Basically, and this is normally, any of the Black Guardian units can just do this, where they have this thing called Webway Assault, where they can deep strike, they no-scatter deep strike as long as they're 9 inches away from an enemy, and that is just amazing in and of itself.
Yeah, that right there is just unbelievable.
And by the way, this isn't just with Black Guardians, you can do this with Vipers.
Well, it's anything that's piloted
by a Black Guardian. So that is a Black Guardian, you can do Storm Guardians or regular guys with heavy platform guns, which we haven't seen in a very long time, and I think this is going to bring them back in a big way.
Oh, regular Guardians, absolutely.
Or we're going to finally see again. As well as you can do that with Wind Riders, so yes, you can have Scat Packs.
You freaking do.
And you can have Vipers, but I think the real winners here, which I used to use, were Warwalkers.
Yeah.
And Warwalkers, I think you're going to see a lot more Warwalkers where you can drop in just 3 of them, all rocking scatter lasers. That's 24 scatter laser shots for pretty cheap, for 195 points.
Oh, and then this detachment allows you to start deep striking them for turn 1, which is just like...
I was already running a list that was a bit like Null Deploy.
Yeah, but you were running more of a beta Null Deploy. You've been running beta Null Deploy basically since 5th edition when you were actually rocking Warwalkers, but this allows you to do what Space Marines do and have your drop pod assault.
That turn 1 drop podding, except you drop pod everybody. It's not half. It's everybody in the Oathway Strike Force can come in turn 1.
I agree that as well that Warwalkers, I think, are the real champions here because you don't have to deep strike them close to people.
No, they don't.
It literally just means that turn 1, as long as you're 9 inches away, you can just put them anywhere you please.
And Genestealer Cult can confirm being able to no scatter, kind of quote unquote deep strike them, it's their ambush.
Yeah.
But being able to just place models anywhere you want on the board is so amazing. And just in a general sense, I think Ynnari is going to change a bit of the meta just because I think this army, just the ability Strength from Death, which by the way, they don't get this boost, this extra action, which is either an extra move, an extra shoot, or an extra charge, just from enemy units dying. They get it from their own units. As long as a unit has died within 7 inches of them, they can do a soul burst action. So what this means is you're going to see a lot of damage to MSU armies. Like, the Ynnari Strength from Death is quite literally a response to MSU, because you have, like, all these armies, you know, shooting at your units in one turn. They kill one of your guys, but you have a Wind Rider unit 7 inches away. That Wind Rider unit can now shoot out of sequence, out of turn. So now you're almost getting double the shots against MSU armies. I will say just in general, as a Harlequin player, this Ynnari release is amazing because it is just quite literally like a day 1 patch of Harlequins. I mean, a day 300 and something patch of Harlequins.
It's just a patch.
It's just a patch to them. The Strength from Death, since they're not losing anything like Battle Focus or Power from Pain.
No, they're just gaining the roll.
Getting a boost, which is amazing for Harlequins because they die pretty easy. So if you clump Harlequins near each other, one of their units die, now you can leap those other Harlequins forward with Soul Burst. So it really does help them get into more assaults. It helps them get a lot closer, faster. It is a really interesting mechanic for them to have.
Yeah, it's going to redefine essentially how Eldar is played. Now, granted, if you are taking that Reborn War Host, you aren't using things like Scathix and...
That's true. They specifically are calling out certain things that, like, these are not going to be in this Reborn War Host.
Yeah, I mean, it's essentially conflict that's being caused right now with Castellans of the Imperium is, like, can you use Forge World Knights and stuff like that? Because they say they can be used anytime a Knight is being used, but they, in the Castellans, they have very specific lists. It's not like a detachment of Knights. It's these Knights.
These specific Knights.
And so that's causing a little bit of conflict where people are like, I can't use my broken stuff anymore.
Yeah, I mean, we're all really sad that Doom and Memoria things can't make their way into the Reborn Warhost. I mean, why, right?
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. If I could take a Riptide Wing and stick freaking Ravarnas and shit in there, I would be having the time of my life, because I'd just be like, well, I mean, here's a 16 strength 8 blasts a turn. Have fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of fun for everybody at the table.
Yeah.
But really, like, the Ynnari release is great for Harlequins. It's gonna put a real different change on the meta. I think it's really gonna affect MSU armies, which is just pretty much everywhere right now.
Yep.
So it's
MSU or Death Star. That's basically all you see.
So I'm excited to see what happens with this in the kind of out. But yeah, I am kind of excited to see how the community reacts to Ynnari and what kind of crazy, interesting armies we see going forward. I can say for myself, I'm already crafting a Harlequin army with Ynnari just because I've missed using them, and I'm interested to see how much of a buff this gives.
Your soul may be Eldar, but your heart is Harlequin.
It is Harlequin deep down.
It's Kagarox forever.
And guys, from a fluff standpoint, the book is great for Fracture of Beal-Tan. If you like Harlequin stuff, if you like Dark Eldar stuff, by the way, I didn't even call out, this also gives some buffs to Dark Eldar as well.
It's a nice patch to Dark Eldar.
It's a nice patch to them. Now, it might not be the complete patch that they need. I do believe they need a buff overall for their new book, but there are little buffs there.
The last thing I wanted to mention essentially is, like, the reason I like this book is because it's not at face value looking overpowered. I'm way more for fluff that's still useful, but it doesn't set the power level to 9 or to 15 like it did with the first Triumvirate book. Because, I mean, like, the more we look at Celestine and Call,
they're just so strong.
And the relics that they put in that book, and then Castellans, and you're just like, oh, God.
Yeah, because I can say from an Eldar player, like, looking at I was like, I couldn't wait. I was like, oh my gosh, Celestine, Call. Like, I can't wait to see what these crazy, the Incarn, Ivrain, and, like, the Vizark, like, what's going on with these guys. And I cracked open the book, and I have to say, based on my expectations from Call and Celestine, I was a little underwhelmed. Now, the models look super awesome, and I actually think the Incarn, which is the crazy avatar of Inied, is going to be amazing.
Very good.
I think it's really good. I think people aren't thinking about how it can literally teleport out of combat, because it says anytime a unit dies, and it's any unit, not even an Eldar unit, anytime any unit dies, it can immediately teleport 1 inch away, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah, well, it stems that it's 6-inch movement, essentially.
Yeah, and it comes with bubbles. Like, it gives Feel No Pain. It gives Fearless in 12 inches. Like, it has a lot of uses, and it's got psychic powers. I'm very interested to see how the Incarn does on the tabletop. Now, for Yvraine and the Vizark,
yeah,
kind of a bummer on those two. I like the models again. The Vizark is a bit of kind of the biggest downer for me because he's 150 points and he doesn't have an invul save, and he's like 3 wounds at like
3+
T3 with a 3+ armor, not even 2+. That cool armor he's wearing, that ancient Eldari armor, like apparently isn't really that great. It's as good as regular aspect armor. It's just a bit of a bummer, but I'm really kind of interested just to see what this new year is going to be like with Ynnari. With now we're coming off of LVO, so for people in the ITC scene, Celestine and Call weren't really legal for tournaments until after LVO, but now we're going to see Call at tournaments, we're going to see Celestine at tournaments, we're going to see these Grand Alliance formations with the Ynnari, with the Castellans.
Yeah, we gotta see how this leads into 8th edition, possibly dropping in June.
Now, speculation, do you think if there's going to be a Grand Alliance for this 3rd Gathering of the Storm book, even though the main characters seem to be Guilliman, Cypher, and this Grey Knights kind of master, do you think the Grand Alliance kind of setup, do you think it might be like the other Space Marine factions, like Ultramarines, Dark Angels, Blood Angels, like, because those were specifically left out of the Castellans of the Imperium.
Ultramarines were not, because they're the core. They're one of the core armies in the Space Marine book.
That's true.
So it's everything that's involved in Codex Space Marines is included in the Castellans of the Imperium, and that includes Robout. But I can't really say what they're going to do. All I know is that what I've heard, since that's now confirmed that is those 3 characters, is that, it likely Cypher's a good guy.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like, hey, do you think he's a good guy or a bad guy? It's like, look, if you're going to keep asking that over and over again, like, obviously he's a good guy.
He's with Robout Guilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines.
The ultimate good guy. The only, really established good guy of the 40k universe.
Yeah, so, he's definitely a good guy. And that probably means that all the current Dark Angels are bad guys.
I mean, all these new releases coming out, there's so much exciting stuff. Like, Gathering the Storm, I think, is probably, my favorite series they've released so far.
I just want one thing, Jay. And
what do you want?
I want, since, it's Guilliman, it started with the Ultramarines. Let's get the Nid book finally. Maybe. They're the only book that didn't get a 7th edition update. What the fuck?
It's still insane that they still, Eldar has gone through another rebirth in the same 7th edition, and Tyrannid still hasn't gotten a book.
There are still people that argue that Chaos Space Marines didn't get... You guys got Traitor Legions and Khorne Demonkin and all this other stuff.
Magnus. Listen, I think that's going to segue us nicely into our Seasons of the Month. So, Seasons of the Month, this is our segment where we talk about a time where Andrew and I screwed up big time in one of our tournaments of the last month, and we were at arguably the biggest tournament of the year, at least in the US, which was LVO. I'll say overall, before we get individually, I had a great time.
It was a fun tournament. It's always stressful doing war games that much.
It is. I will say 2 days back to back, and we felt this last year.
Yeah.
This year as well. Even though it's tons of fun, man, does it just get taxing on your brain and your body.
At least you weren't sick this year.
Yeah, I was sick the previous year, and this year I finally made it through without just completely breaking down.
It was the opposite. I got sick.
Yeah, you got sick, unfortunately.
You know what? I'm going to volunteer, Jay. I will go
You're
first.
going to volunteer as tribute to go first?
I will volunteer as tribute to go first.
Well, Andrew, please tell us about your wonderful times at LVO.
All right, so I was playing, if you didn't find me there and see what I was playing.
Which, by the way, for everybody that came up and said hi to us, it was great to meet you guys in person.
Yes.
We do this podcast for you guys because we love the community, and we love to hear what people want as far as lists and feedback. So, love meeting you guys, had a great time, and I hope you guys had a good time as well. Now, on to, obviously, Andrew's sorrows.
So, yeah, I was running a pseudo-conventional list. No, it was totally unconventional.
Yeah, I was going to say, your list, which if nobody got to see us there at LVO, we can finally reveal what your mistress was that you ended up playing.
Well, this particular mistress, because there are many.
There are many.
But this particular mistress was Tau. Tau drew me back. I was going to bring my Gene Stealer cult, but I didn't, basically because of one rule that I had wrong for years now. And I'm going to blame certain people and not take responsibility.
Perfect. That's always the best way and healthiest approach.
This is going to be an odd Seas, because this Seas is essentially like, oh my god, I'm such an idiot. I would have brought this and had more fun, but I brought this other Tau list because I was not confident enough with my Genestealer cult to bring them. I was like, LVO is literally the most brutal tournament of the year. People are going to be bringing their A+ game to it.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm like, I've only gotten like a couple months in with Genestealer cult. I'm like, am I really going to bring them?
So to rationalize this, Andrew was like, instead, I'll bring an army that I definitely have way more experience with. It's not like I just crafted this out of thin air and have never tested it yet.
What? I definitely played one tournament with it before.
That's true, you have.
But the list that I brought was Tau, but it was not the Tau that you think of. There was no Riptide Wings or Storm Surges or suits of any kind even.
You are a madman.
Sorry. There was one Commander suit and 2 regular solo suits, but it was basically 19 vehicles.
Oh, that's quite a few vehicles.
I was running a Piranha Firestream wing with 2 units of 10 and then 2 singular Piranhas, because that formation is amazing.
It is very good.
And the recent FAQ said that destroyed Piranhas come back.
Yeah,
so that's going to be even better.
Recycling Piranhas. Pretty nice.
Kill all of them but one, and then that one goes, tee-hee.
I'll be right back with my friends.
So yeah, so I was running that, and I was running the Armored Interdiction Cadre, which is essentially 3 units of Hammerheads and 1 unit of Skyrays.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't give Tau vehicles any credence anymore just because like of Riptide Wing and a lot of other stuff that's come out. And granted, vehicles are in kind of a bad way at the moment.
They're in a weird spot.
But the Interdiction Cadre actually solves a ton of problems that their tanks have, specifically one-shot weapons. Like, even with BS5, if you're anything like me, you roll ones for days.
You do.
I mean, the Three-Eyed Snake is just like, it's always there.
It's an old friend of yours.
But the Interdiction Cadre allows you to place a bubble of Twin Linked. It's essentially you place a flag at the beginning of your shooting phase anywhere on the field. It doesn't even need to be in line of sight. You just put it somewhere, and any enemy unit within 6 inches of that, your tanks have Twin Linked against.
It's like a flare, kind of like a digital flare.
Actually, yeah, that's how we described it when I was like, if I had the time to make a proper base for it, it would have been like an LED lit red flare with smoke.
Pretty cool.
That's basically what it is. I mean, the army in general is a lot of fun. It's way out of the box. Like, it's just stuff that people
just
aren't
a whole
used
bunch
to.
of vehicles. Yeah.
Well, I was going against a null deploy Space Marine army, and this was a trifecta army. It was, well, I'll first say this. I don't remember your name, sir, but your army was beautiful.
I think I remember coming by the table and seeing this army.
Yeah.
Was this the one with the Dread Knight?
This was the one with the Dread Knight. So it was Dread Knight and Nemesis Strike Force, and then a Skyhammer, and then a Death Watch detachment.
Oh, man.
So
I remember
trifecta.
seeing that army. It was a beautiful looking army.
Oh, my God. It was very cool. Very awesome army, but it was super null deploy. Like, first turn, like, it's all in my face, and there's nothing I can do about it. But one simple rule came up that embarrassed me. Like, as someone who's played the game for this long, and we talk about how many rules there are to remember and everything, but
There are a few, I think.
I don't play assault armies, I'll just say that. Genestealer Cult was the first real assault army I played in years, because I've played Tau for so long, and I never really played assault armies, but I was on the impression in 6th and 7th edition, when you shoot at a unit, that is the only unit you can charge. That is how I was told that it was for a long time, and I never really thought to check on it, and people would quote stuff, and then I'd never call them on it, and I just accepted it as that.
Of course.
I also was told that when you charge multiple units in a multi-charge, you have to put as many models into base contact with your primary target as you can. I don't know where that started. Somebody can leave a comment and maybe they know, but it turns out both of those rules were wrong.
Or incorrect, in fact.
If you shoot at a unit, yes, you must charge them, but it's just they have to be your primary target.
That's right.
And then you can multi-charge any number of things, and then when you multi-charge, you just have to move your closest model to your primary target, and then you can put anything else wherever you want.
That's true.
And I was like, that was literally the reason I didn't bring Genestealer Cult, is because I was worried about the MSU like having Riptide Wings.
How you're going to do multi-charges.
And not be able to multi-charge everything at once, because I'm like, I guess I'm going to have to, if I get a 6 with my first curse, then I'm just going to have to string them and completely
so you can
surround.
Equally get them, yeah.
So that it's like impossible to place Genestealers on one side, so then I can multi-charge. Like,
oh, Andrew. Well, now you have learned the great lesson of multi-charging, so you can go forth into the world and celebrate. with Gene Stealers, which is the best way to celebrate.
I've totally retracted, and I'm going to be playing NIDS again because damn the torpedoes, I will play that damn army regardless of whether they give me updates.
Whether they give you not only updates, a 7th edition codex at all, period.
No.
That was a great C's. For my C's of the month, and basically my C's at LVO, turns out the 3 of the games that I lost, there was one really defining characteristic. I think we both faced the same issue, is we really struggled with chaos, which is pretty interesting because in the meta, in the storyline of like Gathering the Storm and everything, they're kind of like the great enemy, and turns out they were the great enemy for me at the Las Vegas Open as well. They were giving me real problems in every game I came up against them, whether it was I went up against a couple Death Stars, I also fought a Magnus, and Magnus
Holy
is
God.
Wow, he is a bit of a strong guy. He's pretty good.
You and I looked at his stats and stuff when we were like...
And I remember we talked about him on this show.
We did. We were like, oh, he's well costed.
He's well costed. And I think there was a lot of people out there being like, I think he's, overcosted and he's not very good.
Oh, no.
Now, I'm even so far in the other direction, I was like, my God, he is so good.
He should be like 900 points.
He's so good,
and
everybody.
People can say that that's extreme, but he fires 5 powers off a turn that are near guaranteed.
And he doesn't need line of sight. He never perils. He casts on 2+. He has 7 wounds.
That's what I mean by near guaranteed. And he's just, if he does Siphon Magic on himself, then he's getting a 3+ a save that rerolls 1s and getting extra warp dice back every time he casts something.
Or someone casts near him.
Which means, like I said, near guaranteed casting. It includes all of the change and Zentian powers.
Yeah,
which
so he
means
can just do whatever he wants.
Novas, whatever
he can summon shit. Like, my God, is he powerful.
When on the 2+, he's just throwing out a burning chariot a turn, and you're just like, oh my God, this guy needs to be like 1,000 points.
But regardless, I don't want to go on a tangent too hard on Magnus, but basically what came up is that I was really struggling with these Chaos armies. I just couldn't do enough damage. Like, my Eldar have a lot of things and tools to deal with Riptide Wing and to deal with, Knights and to deal with MSU, but like it turns out when you have rerollable invul saves and you're in a crazy Death Star, it was just, oh my God, it was so difficult. So what I was doing was I was more or less changing my strategy. It was like, okay, very un-J-like. I was like, you know what? I won't try to kill everything. I will try to play the actual mission. I was actually starting to learn things.
Who are you and what have you done with Jay?
I know, right? Let me pull back my face. But basically, this game that I'm referring to, I was playing against a bunch of Khorne, a bunch of Zench. It was all in one giant Death Star with dogs and Zench sorcerers, and like there was also like an Alfarius guy in there too who was giving them crazy stuff. He can give them that Veil artifact that lets them roll 3d6 and they just move that direction.
From the Traitor Legion.
Exactly.
Yes.
So like this was like a super Death Star with a couple things that deep struck, but primarily it was this big bomb just moving around in the center of the table, and it was impossible to do any damage to. The guy had gotten amazing powers. He got invisibility, he got, I believe, sanctuary or endurance. He got a bunch of crazy powers to a point where like I could not shoot at them, I could not wound them even if I hit them, and they also got that power off that lets them reroll saves just in general. Basically, I don't think I killed a single one of the things in that bomb the entire game. So what I did instead was play the mission, and I was doing a pretty good job at it. But I still made an old mistake that apparently I cannot get away from, which was put my Autarch into death range.
Why do you always do that?
I had no idea why I keep doing that.
Put him on a jet bike
to exclusively get away from these things.
You have a 36-inch flat out, Jay.
Yeah, I know. So this big, nasty Death Star was moving towards my guys, and my Autarch was there, and I was like, well, I just need to keep my Warlord alive, and I think I might actually be able to tie or even win this thing. So I see an objective far away. I'm like, all right, I'm going to turbo boost them all the way over there, and the next turn, they're going to go and get it. I turbo boost them all the way over there. What I don't remember is that he has one of his Warlord, like, guys on Blood Crusher, like super murder Khorne guy that he broke off of his Death Star, hanging back in the corner holding a nearby objective. Well, this guy on his turn, which I could have easily put the Autarch behind like a building. He would have been nowhere near anybody, and next turn turbo boost, move on and get that objective. Could have done that easily. I just put him there, didn't think about it. And sure enough, the guy moved 12 inches. He made, I think it was like an 11-inch or 10-inch charge, got in and just quickly doubled out, murdered my Autarch and my Warlock and got him Warlord. And that actually like put him over to win that game. And I was just so frustrated. But I mean, the guy was a great player, great strategic opponent. But man, it was just so frustrating to figure out a way to do no damage at all to this Death Star and still play the mission and get close enough. And then I just, for some reason, I just keep throwing my Autarch into death, Andrew. I have no idea what I'm doing.
You got to stop, Jay.
Gotta stop doing it. But yeah, I mean, overall, I had a great time playing all these different games.
Very fun.
The Chaos was very strong at this tournament, and Chaos actually ended up winning the LVO. So congrats to the Chaos player who managed to take the win. But yeah, I'm excited to go next year and see where the meta is going. Now, Andrew, I believe somebody we met at the show, said they wanted to share their Seas of the Month.
Yeah, so a guy came up to me, this guy named Eric, and forgive me, I didn't get your last name, Eric, but he was telling me about his Seas of the Month.
Oh.
And another embarrassing one. Eric, I'm putting you on the spot, but here I'll basically tell you, Jay, what he told me.
Okay.
He's playing an Imperial army, and he's basically going from tournament to tournament, and like every single game, he's basically like, I thought I had some OBSEC in my army. Like, what is going on? And he goes like, just to make it brief, he goes like 9 games deep, like 2 or 3 tournaments, and realized
he has OBSEC in his army?
Oh, he had OBSEC.
Oh, he did?
He just left it in his bag.
Oh my
and
God.
never played it for like over 2 tournaments.
That's a pretty big C's right there. So guys, lessons learned today. I mean, first off, learn how to do assault. If you use an assault army, that's probably one.
True.
Second is stop throwing your HQ into death. That's mine. And third,
play your whole army.
Play your whole army would be the third C's of the month. But Eric, thank you for sharing that with us. And everybody, again, thanks for saying hi to us at LVO.
It was great. It was great to meet all of you.
Really great. And guys, that'll take us into our next segment, the Brown Library. Feels good to be back in the old Brown Library. I've noticed that the Harlequins have been a lot more chipper lately. Haven't you noticed?
Yeah, there's kind of like weird decorations going around.
Yeah, weird death decorations.
Have you noticed all those like whispering and stuff?
There's so much more whispering happening. It's so weird. You know, the Eldar, couldn't they bring back like the god of partying or something like that?
God of ale.
Or the god of ale would have been great, but it's got to be the god of death. So everything's just really grim and weird around here now.
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of like kind of gothic. I guess that finally works.
Now finally, they're really just going full bore with it. They're like, guys, it's the grimdark. We've got gothic architecture everywhere. It's the god of death. Okay,
you know the Imperium was going so heavy skulls for so long.
The Eldar was like, you think you can do skulls?
We're gonna get in on that skull business.
Those skull manufacturers, they're loving it right now.
You guys are just a bunch of fake skull users. We actually brought a god of death. To what?
Well, now what they're doing, it seems, is instead of putting skulls on everything, they're putting soul stones on everything. Just soul stones just out the wazoo. Just literally as much as we can put on something.
They're lots of fun.
Great additions to your wardrobe. I'm wearing 15 right now. They're very heavy. I'm going to take some of these off.
Where did you probably shouldn't be wearing those.
Oh, well, I thought, since everything's gone so crazy in this library, I kind of took off the restriction of putting on these soul stones.
No, I don't think that was ever lifted.
No, that wasn't?
No. Somebody's knocking on the door.
I'm going to take these off right now. We got to get the hell out of here.
All right, we're going into the closet.
Okay. All right, I think we're in a safe place.
I think he's gone.
Do you think he was looking for the soul stones?
He may have been looking for the soul stones.
Well, everybody's carrying around so many soul stones. I guess they're in high demand now.
They're literally stones of souls.
Is that what they were there for? I thought they were just nice jewelry.
No. Okay. Literally a person's soul inside of that.
Oh, wow. That's very invasive. I'm surprised people let me have those. That's crazy.
That kind of reminds me of what we're going to be talking about this segment.
Oh, really? Okay, what are we talking about?
Very death-centric, in fact.
Ooh.
We're going to be talking about an army that we haven't spoken about in a long time, which is the army of undeath itself.
What?
The Necrons.
The Necron tier! Well, now Necrons, but formerly Necron tier.
Now, there's actually 2 reasons that I wanted to do this army. One, because the fans spoke, so I had my hands tied.
Thank you for speaking, fans.
But then also because the interesting things going on with Trazyn with regards to the Triumvirate and possible allegiances.
Yeah, Trazyn had a pretty big role in Gathering of the Storm 1 at Fall of Cadia.
Yeah, I mean, like, it could spell some odd choices, which I'm all for with regards to the narrative story. I mean, like, could Necrons be good guys?
Could they be helping us out? What?
And that's going to be some awkward dinner parties with them and Eldar at the table. Sorry, Eldari.
So, we killed your parent race. Sorry about that.
No hard feelings? But yeah, we're going to be focusing mainly on one unit this time. So not as much of an army overall theme. There's sort of an overall theme to this, but it's really just like hardcore on one unit that I literally haven't seen since 5th edition.
What unit is that?
And I know for a fact that this is a personal favorite of the man Reese. He loves this unit too. And that unit is Deathmarks.
Deathmarks, they are pretty neat. They're the Cyclopses of the Necrons.
Well, I mean, you could have, like, there's more than one Cyclops.
That's true.
There's
Also, I think some of them also have 2 eyes, so don't confirm that they're Cyclopses.
I mean, there are Crypteks that are Cyclopses and stuff like
No.
that.
I'm pretty sure Deathmarks.
I'm pretty sure that's your racism showing.
My Necron
Your
racism.
Necron. I know you're Eldar, Jay, but you don't need to be Necron
Listen,
racist.
all of us over here at the Eldari table don't need to deal with any of this Necron bullshit.
But Deathmarks, basically what they are is they're super elite hunters. These guys literally step out of existence. I'm not even exaggerating.
They don't step into like the warp or anything like that?
No, they literally sit in pocket dimensions.
Nice.
And they have like one key goal. They're their assassination force. So like Deathmarks are used to take out high priority targets or like key figureheads and stuff like that. And there's no escaping them.
Wow. Pocket dimensions. They're like, I see your webway and I raise you pocket dimensions, bitch.
Yeah, I mean, they've got Tesseract vaults. I mean,
Yeah, they got literally Pokeballs.
They literally have Pokeballs
It's
for
amazing.
armies. Like, it's crazy.
Space Marine Legion, I choose you.
I mean, to be completely clear, they did conquer gods. So
yeah, they're pretty rad. Like,
they not only conquered the old ones,
Yep.
with the help of the Catan,
yeah.
but then conquered
They
the
turned
Catan.
around and were like, you know what, Catan, we don't need you anymore. They're like, wait, what? And now we're going to enslave you and lock you in these Tesseract
Now, it
vaults.
turns out the Catan were always a bunch of fuckers, and they decided, you know what? Not our kind of fuckers anymore.
Yeah.
And you're going to get Pokeballed as well. They just want to Pokeball the universe.
They're just catching a Catan with a Pokeball. I'm just imagining it hitting it, and then it's just being like, whoop, whoop, ping. It's
Yeah.
like,
Oh, yeah. I mean, the Deceiver thought he could fight his way out, but they chucked the Master Ball, and there's
Ooh,
no
that
way
Master
out
Ball
of
took him down.
There's no way out of that Master Ball.
Yeah. He's in there with Mewtwo, like, they got you too.
But yeah, Deathmarks are pretty cool because they basically they're the hunters from hyperspace, as they're called.
Mm-hmm.
And the rules are pretty simple. They're like a Necron warrior with a slightly better save. They have a 3+ save like Immortals.
Which is nice for them.
And they have the standard reanimation protocols like all Necrons do, except for, not Canoptic, but unless you're in the Canoptic,
Well, obviously. I mean,
I'm just saying standard actual Necrons. Not,
I see you're also racist as well towards the poor Canoptic people.
they're
I'm...
robot insects.
I see. They're just robot insects to you, Andrew. Okay.
Well, considering that I literally play a space insect army, I think I have.
Oh, your space insect
I
army
can
is
use-
better than their space
I
insect
can use-
Are they the real insects?
I can use those words, Jay.
Oh,
You
you can.
can't.
I can use that word. I have an insect friend, okay? And they said it's fine.
Listen, you.
Anyways, let's get back on track and talk about those Necrons.
Yeah. So they have the standard Space Marine stat line, weapon skill, ballistic skill 4, strength and toughness 4.
Mm-hmm.
They are initiative 2 like most Necrons, but they are leadership 10, which is always good.
Oh, yeah. Robot leadership is the best leadership.
And I mean, reanimation is the best feeling of pain in the game because
God,
you
yes.
can't get rid of it.
Let's
Except for
say the D weapon will
Except for
do
D.
it. And instant death will make it worse.
Slightly. Maybe.
It's still very
Depending
good.
on bonuses.
It's still very, very good.
But the real cool thing about Deathmarks is they essentially they're like the ultimate counter deploy unit.
They are.
Because they do this thing where they basically sit in this pocket dimension and then they're just waiting. They can wait for any enemy death strike.
Now, they have board games in there, like Necron Scrabble, like Necron Shoots and Ladders. Classic Necron games. Go on.
So they basically sit in this pocket dimension and they can deploy normally via deep strike. They can just deep strike where they want. But they can do this really, really awesome thing where if an enemy deploys via deep strike, then they can immediately out of sequence counter deep strike, and then shoot at them at the end of the movement phase. So before they even get a turn to do their shooting and stuff like that, they can be like, you know what? I didn't like that Skyhammer unit of assault guys you just brought in there. I'm gonna deep strike and rapid fire you with sniper rifles.
It's pretty cool.
And I mean, that's a really awesome mechanic because essentially is there's no safe place for deep strikers when you're using Deathmarks
Because they can always counter deploy to your position.
Exactly, unless you're using vehicles because they are using rapid fire sniper rifles. So
True.
They won't affect anything that's AV-11 or higher. But really, it's for the meat and potatoes unit, which is most armies these days is less vehicles other than the free stuff and lots of, as you put, MSU units. So they are just oh, you brought that unit there? Well, no, I'm here now. And now I get to shoot you, and now they're gone. You didn't get your unit.
They're just one-uppers. So, you think you can deep strike? I can deep strike better than you.
So they can do this really awesome thing when they deep strike, when they arrive via deep strike,
Right.
whether it's through their, I believe it's called ethereal interception, which
cool.
is the coming in on the enemy turn.
Surprise, the ghosts are here.
Or if they deploy normally via deep strike, for that turn, their weapons wound on 2+.
That's true.
So, like, the one thing that's really big with this, though, is that it was FAQ'd that this overwrites their normal sniper rule against gargantuan creatures.
Oh, so now they can actually wound gargantuan creatures on 2+.
Yes, because it is their specific rule. It's not the sniper rule that's saying this. It's their Hunters from Hyperspace rule that says that for that turn, and Codex overwrites rulebook. That is a standard thing in 40k, is that Codex is always trumps rulebook, is that they wound on 2s for that turn, which means when they come in, you can throw 20 rapid fire shots at a Wraith Knight.
See, that makes them even better at killing Wraith Knights than Warp Spiders.
Yes.
Because Warp Spiders only wound Wraith Knights on a 3-up because they're firing against their initiative.
So does Grav Guns. They only wound them on the 3-up as well.
So that means Hunters from Hyperspace, these Deathmarks are actually better at killing gargantuan creatures, specifically Wraith Knights.
Yeah, because that's 20 shots with their rapid fire. They're likely going to be in danger close to get that rapid fire. They get however many normal wounds on 2+, and then any 6s or AP2 as well. So it's just like, holy shit. Like, they actually had one unit of 10 has a very good chance to kill a Wraith Knight in one go.
That's pretty good.
Like,
that's pretty awesome.
wow.
Good for Necrons to be able to do that. I had no idea.
Especially since Necrons didn't really have an outstanding answer,
To
as far as
Gargantuan.
I thought, to gargantuan creatures.
Yeah, now you have like Lich Bomb and things like that, but even then, it's still
it's
not the
okay.
best answer.
It's also getting into range of Stomp, which
Yeah.
is never a good thing.
I've been on the other side of that where I've been using Stomp against a Lich Bomb, and they do not like that very much.
I mean, you just roll 1/6 and things are
And just,
gone.
bye,
I mean,
Zahndrekh.
no reanimation protocols or anything. So it's
just buy your entire leadership, just Stomp, all gone.
yeah. So this army, I was trying to weave around having to use Reclamation Legion, having to use their Decurion, but I didn't realize that the benefits of it, just like there are some benefits I didn't even know about. It just goes too far. You have to use it.
Dude, the Decurion is just the only way to play Necrons. It's basically just the book. The book just might as well just say, you just have these. Look, you're just going to use our Decurion, so like you just have these abilities now.
So I'll explain what's in this army, and it operates. It's a weird army. It's sort of a bait and switch army. So I have the normal Reclamation Legion, which has Nemesis Zahndrekh, and the reason you take Zahndrekh is because he's so good.
He is.
You just choose a Warlord trait every turn, doesn't matter what the fuck it is. You could be like, hey, I want +1 of my reserve, so all my Deathmarks come in. Or you can be like, hey, you know what? I just want to give everyone stealth and move through cover ruins. You know, why not? So good. You know, you can't, unfortunately, choose before the beginning of the first turn.
Oh, so you can't do the one where you get the extra Cs?
You can't get the +1 to C's one.
Too bad.
Can't get that one. So that is the one downside. But basically, this Reclamation Legion is Nemesis Zahndrekh, a unit of 20 warriors, which I'll explain why that's important in a second, a unit of 10 warriors, because you have to have 2 units of warriors.
Of course.
And then a unit of 5 immortals, because you have to have 1 unit of immortals. And then the last bit of this is 5 Tomb Blades. And Tomb Blades are another thing you don't really see a ton of anymore, other than like the ablative 3 that you would get in a Reclamation Legion. But
Right.
Tomb Blades are really good.
They are great.
And we'll probably do another list at some point that's just Tomb Blade focused.
I actually, speaking of which, I had the joy of playing against in like an almost entirely Tomb Blade army at LVO.
Oh, really?
It was like 3 units of 10 Tomb Blades each. And
Awesome.
It's a lot of firepower. It was a beautiful army, great game, very enjoyable player to play against. But yeah, it was really cool to see that many Tomb Blades on the field.
And Tomb Blades are sort of like a weird like hot topic item, because people either really love the way it's like Kroot. Like, you either really love the way they look, or people really hate the way they look.
Yeah, it's weird. I love how they look.
I love them because you think jet bike and everybody just has like choppers basically, and I'm just like, this is the first time there is a really creative looking jet bike thing.
Yeah.
And it looks like an orbital craft, which is what it actually is. It's something that can go from space and then down.
Is it because Necrons don't breathe?
It's probably because they don't breathe. It's also probably because they're not affected by G-forces at all.
Yeah.
So they can just go wherever they please.
They're pretty neat.
But then I also took a royal court in this, and I'm taking another character that you like never see used ever, and that's Illuminor Ceres.
Whoa, I don't... man, I know the characters of the Necrons pretty well, but I don't even know that one.
So Illuminor Ceres is the weird-looking four-legged Cryptek that is like the little spindly spider Cryptek.
That guy.
And he does two things that are really important for this army. One is he makes that 20 warrior blob either +1 toughness, +1 ballistic skill, or +1 strength. Now,
Wow.
+1 strength is probably the weakest of them.
True.
But if you get that, it's still 20 Necron warriors that can be strength 5 on the charge in close combat.
Which is really good.
Not bad. But you get either +1 ballistic skill making them BS5 or +1 toughness making them T5 with reanimation is just like, oh.
Yeah, it's pretty nice.
That's not a fun unit to try and kill.
Oh,
I
yeah.
mean, like 20 Necron warriors. There's also a Lord with Veil of Darkness. A Cryptek with the chronometron to give them all a 5+ invulnerable save against shooting.
Jeez.
And the solar staff, so you can only snapshot them a turn. All of the characters basically join to the 20 warriors. It's not really a Death Star. It's more just like the most annoying bomb to have to try and get rid of, because unlike normal warriors or normal Necrons, which are vulnerable to getting swept in combat, you can just make the unit fearless with Nemesis Zahndrekh, and then it doesn't matter.
It doesn't run, yeah.
First turn, that's basically one of the few things, if only things you deploy. You just deploy that, and even against something like Renegades, you deploy this unit in ruins. They're in ruins. They're either, there's a possibility of T5. They have the +1 to reanimation because they're in the Decurion. Mm-hmm. I did not realize that the Reclamation Legion units get to reroll 1s for reanimation protocols.
Yeah.
Which is so good.
It is very good.
So they have a 5+. Even if they get doubled out, they have both Illuminor Ceres and another Cryptek there, so that it's basically impossible to get them above a 4+ reanimation unless you use D. And then you're just like, oh man, that's a lot of Renegade artillery. Well, I'm just going to make first turn you only snapshot me, which literally means none of your shit can shoot me first turn.
Yep.
And you're just sitting there and you're just like, tee-hee-hee-hee-hee. And then the second turn, you just immediately deep strike everything in your army. You're like, you know what? I want to do +1 my reserves or reroll my reserves, and you just throw everything in their line in the second turn. And I was thinking about this. There's literally nothing you can do to dislodge that turn 1. Like, even against something like, I don't know, like Gene Stealer Cult and getting like
I still can't kill that many people.
There's just even with a great first turn charge with like the guys that are strength 6 and stuff, you're relying on Rending to first get past their 4+ armor saves and not counting all the characters, but then they all have a feel no pain that you can't get rid of.
Yeah.
And there's Overwatch.
I mean, it's really hard to table Necrons. Like, it's really hard to take them down. It's usually an objective game because it's just like, they're just impossible to just kill.
But that's why I was like, I'm calling this Nemesis Zahndrekh's bait and switch. Because he's just there, and he's feigning like he wants a deployment zone, but he doesn't actually want a deployment zone.
He doesn't want that deployment zone.
He's like, you know what? I was just pretending. Like, because he's there.
I'm in your face.
Yeah, well, that's the best part, too, is that you go against something like Descent of Angels or something like that, or even, say, the new Black Guardian formation.
Right.
Then you're like, all those first turn charges, well, guess what? All my Deathmarks are in.
No. And they're all shooting you first.
And they're shooting you first, and they're all 4+ reanimation.
Oh, yeah.
Because obviously, creme de la creme to this is 4 units of 10 Deathmarks.
Ooh, that's a lot. 40 Deathmarks?
40 Deathmarks. Oof. To just be like, you know what? I don't like any of the stuff you brought in. It all dies.
Yeah, it's basically Necron's answer to Warp Spiders, being able to just do a bunch of shots and wound on 2+.
I mean, you can't get away from it. You just can't get away from it. It's crazy, like, because then it's like, well, I didn't want to bring any of that in, but that's a nice set of objectives you have on your side. I think I'm just going to bring everything in over there. But what about the stuff that was in your deployment zone? Well, it's not there anymore.
Now it's teleported in front of your face.
Because that's the thing I didn't realize about stuff like the Veil, is that you just go out of combat. I'm there.
Yeah, it's really crazy.
I'm just over there.
A really nice
I'm just
ability.
over there now.
Wow, this sounds awesome. What is it again? It's Zahndrekh's?
It's Nemesis Zahndrekh's bait and switch.
I love it. But guys, that was episode 32 of Roll to Seize. We'll be posting a new episode of this segment every last Wednesday of the month, with episodes of Dark Heresy the first and second Wednesday and 40K Arena every third Wednesday. And if you'd like to download more episodes or check out other similar podcasts, head over to partialarc.com. You can email us any questions at rolltoseize@gmail.com or chat with us on dakadaka.com and help us decide the next Brown Library segment. Search for fluffy/underrated units in the 40K general discussion forums. Of course, you can always follow us on Twitter and Instagram for tournament and model picks. We're actually going to be throwing up some ones from LVO very soon at Partial Arc. Thanks for listening, and your fun fact for this month is...
So having a glow around you in 40k is like never a good thing, because it basically, in this case, means one of two things. Either you're being possessed by chaos.
Right.
Which is probably bad.
Which is a bad day.
Or you are now a high priority target for Deathmarks, because when they appear, but they're hunters from hyperspace the thing they wound against 2s against, they notice there's a faint green glow around them right before it happens. So it's literally like they literally throw a flare on them, and they're like, no, that's a really bright thing. I don't
Hey,
like
man,
that
are you
thing.
going to a rave or, oh God, and just murder?